star player and sent Johnny O'Brien III to the bench less than 4 minutes into the game with 2 fouls.
Now both sides of the zone up top are the short side of the zone. Jurisic has he can measure that rim anytime he wants as a shooter.
Parker checks into the jumper, and the Dogs are out to an 8-1 lead. Georgia's played a little zone in man now. Andre Stringer's into the game, number 10. Quick, disrupted guy on defense. Not afraid to take a deep one from 3 either. Shot clock headed to 10. Devon Coleman out to Stringer. Inside the three-point arc. Stringer rattles around, no good. Tapped back out, and Stringer will reset it.
Reese, the importance of Johnny O'Brien.
Inside the three-point arc. Stringer rattles around, no good. Tapped back out, and Stringer will reset it.
Reese, the importance of Johnny O'Brien. As we look out on the floor now, without him on the floor, the offense looks different. You know, he was the anchor. He was the focal point that you knew you could throw him the ball on that block.
Stringer running and finding free space to save Coleman. Now Coleman's by himself for 3, and he rattles it in. And that
drag the defense up and then throw behind with a corner being filled.
(8-4) Georgia with the lead. Reese Davis, Jimmy Dykes with you, working inside. Shot is blocked, and Reese Davis, Jimmy Dykes with you, working inside. Shot is blocked, and LSU is one of the better shot blocking teams in the country. They get one there, and lining up and firing and knocking down the 3.
Hickey only a 23% three-point shooter in conference play, but he shoots it with a ton of confidence. It goes back to 2 years ago when those guys had the green light. The only offense Johnny had.
Thornton gets a deep catch and powers it up. His 4th.
LSU zone has problems keeping the ball out of the paint, off the bounce, off the pass.
But Mickey's a guy who's come along even quicker than Johnny Jones, I'd imagine. Very adept at blocking shots. Still has some weight to gain, a little strength to gain, and Thornton bullied him a little bit at that time. Georgia handles the pressure nicely. Gaines kisses it off the window, and an excellent ball movement. Georgia was very patient. Didn't panic at all in the face of that LSU pressure.
Absolutely. 3 or 4 passes, different sides of the floor, result in a layup.
J.J. Frazier is checked in for Georgia in the backcourt. Dante Williams, number 15, has returned. Mickey misses the shot. Forte scrambling for it. Now Frazier, backcourt. Dante Williams, number 15, has returned. Mickey misses the shot. Forte scrambling for it. Now Frazier. He's out of there on the run. Forte had it for a layup for a minute. Couldn't get it up, and somehow window his second bucket, and Georgia's up by 7.
Reason LSU is playing with the 2 small guards. They are vulnerable in transition defense because neither one of them can do anything to bother the basketball once it gets at rim level.
Both those guards may have to play for a while. Johnny Jones has sort of settled in, Jimmy, to his rotation. O'Brien's on the bench with 2 fouls. Jarrell Martin's loose inside, and he lays it in
because they scored a high level off of hard cuts. If you're a big guy scoring off the hard cuts, that means you have a good set of hands.
Beautiful. Excellent for the flush, and that press is just getting carved into pieces.
That's probably going to be the last we see of that press. Now, LSU can change their press looks up, but that 2-2-1, Georgia prepared for it off the pass.
16-9. Mickey has it against Jurisic. Told you Stringer would shoot it from deep, and he knocks it down. The Jones pulls Stringer and Hickey back. He's seen quite enough of the dunks on the other end off the press. Georgia's been doing its work in the paint. Outside, not so much. Forte with another shot in the paint. Williams tried to flush it back. Missed the dunk. Coleman. Forte with another shot in the paint. Williams tried to flush it back. Missed the dunk. Coleman. Forte with another shot in the paint. Williams tried to flush it back. Missed the dunk. Coleman pulls it away for LSU.
But again, what did Mark Fox do? As soon as LSU went man, he went to a shuffle cut out of the flex series and gets the ball again right around the rim. Probably as good as anybody in this league at doing that is Georgia.
Georgia sending Mann and Thornton to the scorer's table to return along with Williams. The three starters are coming back.
As Reese is like breaking a half-court zone. Get it to the third or fourth side, good things will happen to you.
Did 3 of its first 5 from three-point land, and the three-point defense has been a little bit of a bugaboo for the Dogs lately. They're allowing the last 3 opponents to struggle with three-point defense at times as well. That's really what's kept LSU close in the early going. They've hit 3 of them from outside. It's a 2-point game. Martin deflects the pass, but Mann's able to corral it. John Odo is checked in for LSU. Thornton has him right into the bucket. And
they are doing heavy work around that rim. Good, quick, sharp passing again. Another deep post touch for Georgia to operate off of.
Malik Morgan into the game for LSU, number 24. Hickey's dribbling at the top. Now Morgan's got it. Stringer. Martin. Here come the Dogs. Martin. Here come the Dogs. Charles Mann leading the way.
Reach whether Johnny O'Brien's on the floor or not on the floor. This is what Georgia does best. They're patient and they get touches inside and make you react to that touch.
Mann used the screen, shot the 3, and Odo has the rebound. Mann used the screen, shot the 3, and Odo has the rebound for LSU.
He's not a non-shooter, but he's just one step above that. That's the next step in his progression. When teams start going under ball screens, he has to make them pay.
Stringer got fouled on his college game day. Alabama going on the road to Gainesville to take on number 3 Florida, then Michigan and Iowa in a Big Ten clash at 2 o'clock. Both games.
Is in any conversation that starts there. Scotty Wilbekin, I think, belongs in that conversation. You've seen him. What are your thoughts?
I agree with you, Jimmy. He's one of the more underrated guys, and he's sort of
is in any conversation that starts there. Scotty Wilbekin, I think, belongs in that conversation. You've seen him. What are your thoughts?
I agree with you, Jimmy. He's one of the more underrated guys, and he's sort of the guy that holds things together for Florida. He handles the tempo for them. He's a terrific defender. He's a good passer. He's really improved as a shooter. I agree with you. He's an undervalued guy for sure. I saw a good one last Saturday night. Tyler Ennis at Syracuse.
Pretty darn
too.
good.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Man, rattles one in. Very hard on that aspect of his game. Continues to grow. This is a guy who's aggressive. He's strong. His Stringer fires from deep and knocks in another one.
For a 5'10" kid, he can make guarded shots because he elevates as well as anybody in college basketball as a three-point shooter.
LSU has 4 3-pointers in the early going, and Gaines comes. LSU has 4 3-pointers in the early going, and Gaines comes.
They get on the glass now. They're getting 4 out of every 10 misses back in their possession is Georgia.
Tim Quarterman had it. Mickey driving baseline, gets by Thorne. Marcus sort of pushes him underneath the bucket. Quarterman is going to be bumped out.
And then clean three-point shots. If you do that in that order, you're going to win a lot of ball games.
Mann's very close to matching his number of free throw attempts from last year. Part of that, I would imagine, is he's a sophomore. He's gained a year of experience, knows how to use his body. But some of it might also be the way the game's being called a little bit more now. Because he's, in SEC play, Jimmy, he's getting there nearly 10 times per game. Shot clock. To 5. Stringer working on Mann. Puts it up strong. Forte back into the game. It's 5. Stringer working on Mann. Puts it up strong. Forte back into the game, and he has a rebound.
Reese, you mentioned how the game's being called. There it is again. I don't think we're for a big kid that can control his speed and shift gears like that. It's rare.
Mann's already hit his first 3 free throw attempts. Now he's 4 for 4.
See contact as just part of the game. Basketball plays on a 94-foot by 50 wide court with 10 big, strong, athletic dudes. Other see contact as just part of the game. Basketball plays on a 94-foot by 50 wide court with 10 big, strong, athletic dudes. Other guys will read contact like that as you're impeding the freedom of movement. So there's no real clarity, there's no consistency from game to game, and it's an issue in our game right now.
Stringer.
Clarity, there's no consistency from game to game, and it's an issue in our game right now.
Stringer.
The more I watch, the more I think we still overreacted with our rule change. I'm all in favor of how we are now guarding the basketball. You shouldn't be allowed to put 2 hands and hot touch 2 or 3 times. The simplest solution for me, if we wanted more 2 hands and hot touch 2 or 3 times, the simplest solution for me, if we wanted more scoring, make the restricted arc the same size as the NBA. You know the other thing you could have done? Make the rims bigger. You could have made the rims a little bit bigger if you wanted more scoring in basketball. Could you not have?
Used the women's basketball, a smaller basketball to accomplish the same thing.
Some common sense stuff could have gone into play besides all the messing up we've done with all the fouls we got going on in college ball.
You know, I will differ with you a little. I really don't mind most of the new rules, but what you do want, what I've heard consistent complaints from players and coaches is consistency. You know, 1 game or 1 trip is Williams from players and coaches is consistency. You know, 1 game or 1 trip is Williams with the lead of 10. 1 game or 1 trip, something is a foul later on in the game or the next game is not. And that's the frustrating thing, I think, for the coaches and the players.
That's to my point of what one guy
is a significant road game for them, and all of them are right now. I mean, they feel good about their resume, but frankly, you look at it, and there's no real strong marquee win away from home. Good win against Kentucky at home for sure. Just trying to avoid those black marks on the resume.
A guarding the ball problem, which is also equating to a getting the ball off the defensive board problem because they're getting out of alignment. These are strong, physical kids.
And LSU hadn't trailed in its last 2 games. They haven't led for a second tonight. And LSU is, I don't know that it's been necessarily an offensive explosion, but in the last little less than 3 minutes, the Dogs have pushed it out to a dozen. Shane Hammond, the son of former LSU.
Look at the size of his legs, what you can see between the long shorts and the socks. But he's got running back, SEC running back legs about him. Terrific leg strength. He has not gotten his head down. He continues to shoot about 50% from 3, and he comes in with great body language and plays his tail off.
He's got 9 points tonight.
SEC wiped up again yesterday, didn't they? A National Recruiting Day for football.
Oh, man.
You're all over that all day.
I think 7 of the top 10 classes, both of these schools, LSU and Georgia, did extremely well. Man with a great...
Georgia can carve you up now with their movement away from the ball with a flex cut to get the ball to the low block. Look at the paint points by Georgia. That is who they are right there. You're seeing them at their best.
They're 24-2 edge in the paint for the Dogs. LSU's hung in there raining in some threes. This time Stringer goes to the bucket. I don't know where LSU would be without Stringer. Well, actually, I do. They'd be in Athens, but they'd be way behind. Much further behind. Inside 3 minutes to play in the first half. Jurisic
doesn't step over in the path and bump that guy and buy some time. They're going to continue to get deep post touches. Georgia will.
Good measure of offensive efficiency, too. Nice and quiet for Jurisic. Lead is back to 12 for the Dogs. Nemi has 7. We head toward 2.5. Jamie Sire was talking about Arizona and dealing without Brandon Ashley. What kind of impact do you expect that to have on Sean Miller's team?
You know what? It's a hit to their depth. Unlike Florida now with Chris Walker, they have 9 guys. Arizona doesn't have that. Now they can still win the whole thing, but their margin of error has shrunk. because Ashley was a guy that could make a perimeter face-up shot. And there's been stick it on you in late clock.
Hickey's got his second three. He saw the frustration from Jurisic after that one went down. LSU has hit 5 out of 10 from three-point land. Frankly, if they weren't shooting well from out there, they'd be getting blown out as Morris almost.
They get the ball in the pro slot, and it frees them up to drive that thing across the nail and get to the rim. They're getting it there off of a cut. They're getting it there off the pass. They're getting it there off the bounce.
Morris, he was a teammate of highly recruited Tony Parker, who went to UCLA. And Georgia coaches, Mark Fox and these guys, when they would go and watch them play, they said, you know, Parker's good. The reason they keep winning is Morris. and very versatile in his game. He's just a sophomore. Got some length to him, some explosion, shoots it pretty well. A lot of opportunity for development.
Absolutely.
At Georgia.
A terrific driver left. His next step is his ball skills, you know, going with both hands. But that's a big, long athlete now.
Speaking, that's 1-2 for LSU. Speaking of developing talent, Jordan Mickey. Clock's getting late again. That just means one of those little guards is going to jump up and knock in a three. Thornton and checking back into the game for Georgia's Juwan Parker, number 3.
Thornton's been good the all season long. He's battled through 3 knee surgeries in his career. Has a toughness about him, has a voice when he speaks, and other dudes listen.
Thornton and checking back into the game for Georgia's Juwan Parker, number 3.
Thornton's been good the all season long. He's battled through 3 knee surgeries in his career. Has a toughness about him, has a voice when he speaks, and other dudes listen.
Thornton and checking back into the game for Georgia's Juwan Parker, number 3.
Thornton's been good the all season long. He's battled through 3 knee surgeries in his career. Has a toughness about him, has a voice when he speaks, and other dudes listen.
Hickey for 3, no good. Williams lost it. Mickey grabbed the rebound off the...
And other dudes listen.
Hickey for 3, no good. Williams lost it. Mickey grabbed the rebound off the... Mickey was look what I found a little bit, but he took it up strong and drew the foul. And George, sorry, Jim.
This is not the loudest building we'll be in all year long. So as a competitor, as a player, you've got to get yourself to the magic level on your own. And commitment and passion, they don't do things that guarantees you'll fail. And you have to muster that up right now as your own, as a player in this game.
Man turned down the screen, went to the bucket, and Mickey.
His first step now, that thing is a quick, long, scoring, explosive step.
And foul was called on Hickey. He's missed a couple of them tonight, too. Now, the rule is, for a shooter, to be clear to everybody at home, shooter has to stay behind the line until the ball hits the rim.
Can't break the plane. There he did it again.
Yeah.
There he did it again.
Yeah. Let him get away with it. 41-30. You know, I had a football game this year in which I pointed out that Ole Miss was running 2 guys at the same position wearing the same number, and the officials heard about it. You're going to call Tony Green, Anthony Jordan kids over to halftime and tell them about stepping over that line?
That is not my role. They see it or they don't.
Stringer fires for 3. Hammock fighting for the rebound, and Morris.
They see it or they don't.
Stringer fires for 3. Hammock fighting for the rebound, and Morris has it. 49 seconds left to go in the half, and Georgia with an 11-point lead in the ball.
If you told them, their ears might go up and they might look for it. If I tell them, they tell me to keep my...
Are you okay with that? Or
no, I'm not okay with it. I do think they owe it to him to say, hey, this is what we're seeing. Brings it to the attention of the officials in the last 2 minutes, and then they call it on him. That's not a good deal. That's that inconsistency that drives coaches nuts.
It is 13, and the largest of the game for Georgia is LSU. Brings it down with about a 4-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. Now for some good perimeter shooting, LSU's performance would seem even more flat, I think. Georgia's beating them on the boards, certainly beating them inside. Dogs almost force a turnover, and they do.
Any time for 6 or 7 dribbles, you'd expect number 4 in white man to get the ball in his hands and not give it up.
He has it. Here comes man. He checked the clock, gets in the paint, got his shot blocked, no call. Fresh 35. So after a few fireworks, a little bit of drama, we're back to basketball.
LSU really pressuring hard. That could create a driving alley for man. He doesn't need much of a crack.
Gets a screen from Jurisic, and
I would immediately make him come up and defend a ball screen action like that. Drag him up into it, attack his hip, and see if you get the call. Georgia did it, and they get the call.
Leave him out there as they try to trap Jurisic.
Call. Georgia did it, and they get the call.
Leave him out there as they try to trap Jurisic, and they force the turnover. Coleman has Hickey with him. Also has Martin, who finishes. Martin now has 7, and LSU's back within 5.
Johnny Jones has kick-started the energy of his ball club, Reese, with this 1-2-1-1 press.
Almost another turnover. LSU had a great class as well. I saw Greg McGarity, the athletic director from Georgia, at halftime. Congratulated him on the top 10 class. He laughed and said, "Get a top 10 class in the country and it's 6th in your conference." He said, "Get a top 10 class in the country and it's 6th in your conference."
I believe this is right. I think the SEC overall signed like 68 of the top 150 players in the country.
The players who went to the Big Ten, ready to compete with SEC supremacy as we move into the college football playoff era. Kenny Gaines has built a little bit top recruiting classes and the number of players. Butch Jones of Tennessee, more players, some of them back counters, meaning counting on last year's class already on campus. As Marcus Thornton outscrapped top recruiting classes and the number of players. Butch Jones of Tennessee, more players, some of them back counters, meaning counting on last year's class already on campus. As Marcus Thornton outscrapped, come back in for Johnny Jones as Thornton steps to the line.
Has to capitalize if Georgia does get into one of those shooting slumps.
And what they've done is turn the ball over. They only turned it over twice in the first half. They've already turned it over 5 times in the second half. As Thornton rolls in 1 of 2. Those 5 turnovers have led to 7 LSU points in the second half. And Tigers just down 6 and with the ball as we're headed toward the 15-minute mark to play. Jordan Mickey. Springer guarded by Gaines. Martin puts it up. Jarrell Martin. He has 10, and LSU's within 3 in applying the pressure.
That's a disruptive, fast press that Johnny Jones has on the floor. He has a big press, and he has a fast press. And right now it's a speed press with the 2 little guards.
Thornton kicks it out to Gaines. Wide open look. He can't knock it down. Martin has the rebound. LSU.
Opposite side of the ball and waiting for ball reversal. LSU didn't reverse it in time for him to get a post touch. They got a jump shot off of it.
Martin tried to hit 2 in a row from out.
Time for him to get a post touch. They got a jump shot off of it.
Martin tried to hit 2 in a row from out there. Shot it a little long. Charles Mann all the way to the bucket. And one.
Traffic. A power guard that gets himself to the rim about any time he wants.
And misses.
Traffic. A power guard that gets himself to the rim about any time he wants.
And misses. Johnny Jones trying to get O'Brien off the floor. He's got Darcy Malone sitting at the scorer's table, but the missed free throw didn't afford him the opportunity. So Johnny's got to make sure he doesn't pick up a cheap one.
If Georgia gets the ball back before there's a dead ball and O'Brien has to play defense again, what are you going to do to him? Drag him up, make him defend a ball screen.
They'll get a 6 in their last 8, but they can score. Arizona with 1 loss.
Pass like they did in the first half against that 2-2-1. So look at Arizona right now. They lose a guy in Brandon Ashley who is averaging 12 points a game. Arizona has been held under 70 points, Reese, 4 straight ball games. So they can't get into I'm going to outscore you match at all with Oregon tonight. Oregon doesn't want to play defense, but they can flat out score.
A lot of answers for the Ducks on offense. There's Jarrell Martin trying to take it over the freshman. Gets it in. Offense. There's Jarrell Martin trying to take it over the freshman. Gets it in.
Boy, for a big kid to catch it and isolate it like that with a low dribble and get to the rim, that's the kind of stuff you recruit, you don't teach.
Marcus Thornton going, it'll hurt their resume. You'd think with this type of size, and O'Brien's going to play better and stay out of foul trouble better than he has tonight. It'd be a tough team for somebody to handle with this size and athleticism if they can make their way into the tournament.
Missouri not on that graphic because they're one game below 500, but that's a club right now that I think
Hickey on J.J. Frazier forced a 5-second count, another turnover.
Recently, 3 of your 5 teams projected are in that last 4 in, last 4 to receive a bye. There's not a lot of room for error now.
Jarrell Martin is doing work, but he couldn't get it to go in.
Last 4 to receive a bye. There's not a lot of room for error now.
Jarrell Martin is doing work, but he couldn't get it to go in. People around the LSU program just rave about the type of kid that Martin is, too.
I think he and Mickey both. They have a motor. And the size that they have right now, that's a front line of an NBA front line type with O'Brien in there as well. Georgia back to their shuffle because they're trying to play power ball right now.
To put O'Brien back in down the stretch and perhaps pull one out on the road.
The best player isn't getting it done, and that's where O'Brien is tonight. And can LSU correct the problem right now and win? The best player isn't getting it done, and that's where O'Brien is tonight. And can LSU correct the problem right now and win this ball game with Johnny O'Brien in foul trouble?
Cameron Forte got a solid night for the Dogs. It's 1 out of 2, and the block is going to be
moved to maintain his position.
A little bit of a difference with a guy guarding Mickey in that case because he was the primary defender rather than the secondary defender on the block charge call.
Georgia with a full court press to start the second half, but now Georgia's kind of settled down. Once they get into the half court, they start going inside. With exception, this is the
Jimmy Jurisic, his second three. He's got 12, and Georgia sneaks that lead back out to 9. Stringer to answer. Yep.
Can't cheat on, can't go underneath ball screens, can't take a shortcut. You have to caboose him and be there on the catch.
14 for Stringer. Ball poked away from Frazier, who got it back. Frazier to the bucket, and he'll go to...
Of their offense on the year, talking about Georgia, is from the free throw strike. 22 of their 65 points they score in conference play. You look at it tonight, that's now their 26th free throw points in this game are from the free throw strike.
They've hit just 4 of 10 from the stripe here in the second half. And Frazier makes it. Man, only with a couple of personal fouls, and I would imagine a tight game. We're going to see Charles for the rest of the night. Frazier was the 9th Bulldog to score tonight. A lot of contributors on Mark Fox's team. Jarrell Martin's been a huge contributor for Johnny Jones. They went past, not a huge scorer, a wing player for LSU, but he's lost some time due to the fouls as well. Tim Quarterman is checked in for Jones's team. He's number 55. He's chasing Morris over the screen. Thornton all the way to the bucket. Very good offense.
Throw the ball to the elbow in isolation, and Thornton just takes it to his left.
Stringer kissed it off the window. No good. Parker with
it to his left.
Stringer kissed it off the window. No good. Parker with the rebound. Georgia on the run. Man. Taken away on a terrific defensive play. Parker with the rebound. Georgia on the run. Man. Taken away on a terrific defensive play inside by Hickey. Stringer alley-oop to Quarterman, and Parker knocks it away. Hit Parker in the tricep with his face.
Yeah.
More so than the other way around. And Jarrell Martin has it as we hit inside 11 minutes to go. Georgia with a 61-51 lead on LSU.
Well, Georgia's been good in their zone defense, rotating over, knocking guys down. It's a 2-3 front zone.
Tough drive by Stringer. Jurisic tried to...
Johnny Jones probably trying to get to the under 8-minute mark if he can before he brings O'Brien back in his long.
Hit a couple of jumpers from about that 15, 16-foot range. One there from the elbow area, one from the corner earlier tonight. There is a lot of potential. Number 25, purple and gold.
The reason I'm really surprised, as much as LSU has struggled defending Georgia at man-to-man, that they have not played more zone and catch himself. And, that's the concern.
Parker has to sling it into the backcourt to Marcus Thornton. Mike Kitts watching closely. Johnny Jones wanted over him back, but you can throw it back there on the inbound pass and knock down this.
Not only can you throw it back there is no timeline on a baseline out-of-bounds throwing. In terms of coming down on one side or the other, unless you establish yourself
on one side and then go back.
Right.
That's what Thornton.
He's the only guy that can kind of get your zone defense out of alignment. But Georgia has taken that ball time and time again where they want to get it around the rim, either off the drop.
And with the foul trouble, in addition to that, and the fact that LSU's had some success with zone.
Yeah, I mean, all those things kind of have me wondering why LSU has not thrown some zone on.
They're throwing a little press at Georgia. Martin has 11 of his 15 in the second half, 9-point game and a whistle.
Man, there's big, strong, physical kids handling that ball. They power dribble you to get the pressure off of them.
Only a very good free throw shooter, better than 83%. Missed the first one. Nestle double figures. Still no Johnny O'Brien, sitting on the bench with 4 fouls.
They're bumping people down out of that zone, really communicating well. Quarterman just read it. And a long, lanky kid that does a good job with his first step and his first bounce, covering about 8 or 10 feet.
Now Quarterman from the state of Georgia, number 2 player in the state last year, is Thornton. A little bit of
C logo. put the pressure on LSU to defend the rim. Again, with O'Brien on the bench, they're down one rim protector, and you go at him.
And Mickey, the shot blocker, had the foul called on him. It was his third. As Thornton
is trying to get to the 8-minute media timeout before Johnny O'Brien comes back in.
He's certainly within striking distance. Thornton makes him Georgia under 9 minutes to play as Anthony Hickey brings it into the front court for LSU.
You have to cut through that zone. If not, Georgia just passes the next guy off really well.
Waterman shot fake, drive all the way to the bucket, and the freshman from Savannah puts it in.
He's got a good scoring step from out on the perimeter. He scored from where he started from, not at the rim.
Gaines, Parker. Georgia will pull it out and set it back up with Frazier. Look over the Georgia bench. I think Charles Mann just told Mark Fox he was okay. Jurisic. Frazier. Rattles it in again. Hit a couple of threes in the last few trips, Jimmy.
Yeah, with Mann on the bench, the offense became a question, and Frazier answered it.
And Stringer answered him. Andre's got 4 triples. 8-point lead for Georgia as LSU keeps hanging in there. We're now inside that 8-minute mark and inside the spot when the next dead ball will have the media timeout. Will this be the time that Johnny O'Brien returns? Thornton working on the low block off the window, no, and tipped in. Thornton working on the low block off the window, no, and tipped in.
There's not a better way still in basketball, a very simple way to get the ball to the low block, and Georgia does it time and time and time again.
Stringer's been hot tonight from outside the arc. Georgia marking him. Hickey fires and rattles it in.
Again, 2 years ago, that's the only offense LSU had was those two little dudes. They can rise and fire with a ton of confidence and keep you in the ball game with O'Brien on the bench.
Those two guys have combined to make 7 3-pointers. O'Brien is waiting at the scorer's table. Jurisic and one.
And an easy rim attack. And a mistake made by Quarterman. Maybe he made a mistake going to double team, but once you're there, don't compound it by leaving the double team.
Mickey, now he has 4, as does Johnny O'Brien III, who's back in the game now for LSU, and Charles Mann, who was shaken up on a play at the rim a few minutes ago, has returned for Georgia. He's number 4, so a 10-point lead for the Dogs, under 6.5 to go here in Athens.
And nothing should change. The next time Georgia gets the basketball, make Johnny O'Brien come up and cover an on-ball screening action.
Shot clock inside 10. Stringer elevates off the window and scores.
Him off, just made a hard bucket.
And what is that dude's vertical?
High enough.
He's a little guy, but he rises. Man, crashing in there, and they're going to call.
Bryant was covering, slipped out of it too quickly, and didn't put any pressure on Johnny O'Brien to have to defend it.
Now LSU with a chance to close to within 6 or 5 with a triple. Here's a guy who's been knocking down some of those, both of them for that matter, both Stringer and Hickey. O'Brien right around Jurisic, but he draws LSU to within 6.
Well, he's really good with either hand and either shoulder around the rim. That's where he's gone to another level this year from last year.
Headed down toward 5 minutes to play. O'Brien has to be careful against Thornton. Thornton contesting, rolls it in.
You either make him defend the low block or make him defend the ball screen. Talking about Johnny O'Brien in purple.
O'Brien has it at the elbow, drives on Thornton. O'Brien goes up with a left hand and scores.
Paws around the rim, hard to guard.
6-point game. LSU just hasn't quite been able to get over the hump tonight.
Run a 51 right now. Let a 5, set a 1 ball screen. There it is. Now attack Johnny O'Brien.
Man to the bucket. There's a whistle. And Hickey has 3 fouls, and Mann.
This after this game. But again, you cannot break the vertical plane of the free throw stripe. The shooter can't until the ball hits the rim, the backboard, or goes in. And he continues. He just has to break the plane, and it's an illegal shot. They caught it.
Right. Yeah. My point was sometimes that draws attention to it from the official when you actually see him step in. Has it in the back court. He races by Hickey into the front court. Juricic, he can shoot it from there. Opts not to. Brandon Williams has been pretty quiet for a while. Morris, I should say. And Brandon Morris gets it under and gets to the rim. And foul was called on John Odo, junior college transfer. And Johnny Jones tried to play a little offense to defense because Odo's not in foul trouble as O'Brien is. And O'Brien's back on the floor, and Brandon Morris
and get to the rim.
And foul was called on John Odo, junior college transfer. And Johnny Jones tried to play a little offense to defense because Odo's not in foul trouble as O'Brien is. And O'Brien's back on the floor, and Brandon Morris missed the free throw. Inside 4 minutes to go. Georgia hanging on to an 8-point lead. LSU trying to rally. Jordan Mickey, he's playing with 4 fouls, but he'll go to the free throw.
Come and finish.
LSU with those shot blockers and the size and the good field goal percentage defense you wouldn't expect tonight. They have. Even so, as Jordan Mickey shoots for his 16th point tonight and misses, so he'll sit on 15. LSU in football will be on the first Thursday night of the season on the SEC network as Georgia pushes its lead back to 9. O'Brien kicks it out to Hickey, swings it to Martin, open 3, leaves it on the front of the rim. Starts to push it up the floor and decides the clock's on his side, so he'll take his time. LSU in need of a stop to keep this lead from going back to double figures. Man turns the corner all the way to the bucket. Juricic, offensive rebound, and not going back to double figures. Man turns the corner all the way to the bucket. Juricic, offensive rebound, and not going back to double figures. Man turns the corner all the way to the bucket. Juricic, offensive rebound, and not much has gone right on that type of play for LSU tonight. Gaines to the bucket, misses. Thornton puts it back and rolls it home. Great example for LSU tonight. Gaines to the bucket, misses. Thornton puts it back and rolls it home.
Great example. You can't defend the rim. You get the defense out of alignment, and then good things happen for you on the offensive glass.
Now LSU close to desperation mode now. Mickey misses. O'Brien, the putback. Now LSU close to desperation mode now. Mickey misses. O'Brien, the putback.
State last night, passing what many thought would be their biggest hurdle. I'm sticking with it. Settled on New Year's Eve. Wichita State will end the season unbeaten in regular season. They are that good in that league. Good in any league. Those guys are legit. They're a legitimate Final Four contender this year. I think they're better than last year's club.
This was supposed to be the week in which they had their toughest test, the game at Indiana State last night, which they won, and then they took to Northern Iowa on Saturday. So where they are right now, Jimmy, in Missouri Valley, you see man beating some pressure for Georgia, is they'll have to play their beat.
We're going to go down doing it our way, playing angry. And from that point on, that game was over. And when they won that one, I thought that's a team that has it figured out.
For the violation. And frankly, getting away with a couple before that.
You know what? He may not do it, though, the rest of the season. He's been called on it, and he knows now they'll be watching for it. Good to go.
You know what? He had missed 4 free throws prior to that, sort of falling over the line. Now he stayed in place and made them both.
Shoulders over his feet.
Coincidence? I think not. Johnny O'Brien third. Can't get it to go. Juricic with the rebound in Georgia. Somebody will tell him tomorrow, though. I'll get a text.
LSU has no one to blame in this ballgame but themselves. Their lack of defense or close to it. And they come in averaging 65 points a game. This is a club that's really offensively challenged. But you let them run their stuff and run their shuffle cuts and set their ball screen action and get the ball 89, 90 points in the ball game.
Well, it's about to happen to them, Jimmy. Man fell over the line not long enough and got it to roll in 89-74. Georgia's lead is 15 as LSU made a run late but couldn't quite get over the hump. Stringer over Gaines, no good, fight for the rebound. Single time in this game.
Well, young guys, Mickey and Martin, but boy, there's a lot of experience out there with Hickey and Stringer and O'Brien, Coleman.
I mean, Bryant got called for a couple of fouls in the first 3.5 minutes or so of the game. Spent the rest of the first half on the bench, and he just never really found his rhythm. His game
at their core right now defensively is not good enough to make a run in the SEC.
Makes it 90 for Georgia. Running down to see it. It was good an offensive performance as Georgia's had this year. Mickey flushes it. Performance as Georgia's had this year. Mickey flushes it. 6 points off the 97 they put up against South Carolina. 6 points off the 97 they put up against South Carolina. Stringer drives, trying to make it look a little better, letting a lot go now. The officials on their way back to the Atlanta airport. Stringer drives, trying to make it look a little better, letting a lot go now. The officials on their way back to the Atlanta airport. Trying to make it look a little better, letting a lot go now. The officials on their way back to the Atlanta airport. With you and the lovely and talented Reese Nestler. Certainly thankful that she takes after her mother.
Got a Reese on my left, a Reese on my left, a Reese on my right, and a Reese's perfect play. 7 weeks of the season to kind of figure out who they are. They concentrated on their offense because they lost their 7 weeks of the season to kind of figure out who they are. They concentrated on their offense because they lost their leading scorer, and their defense fell behind. But now this is not going to be an easy team to beat in the SEC because of the style they play.